Welcome to ACT Fitness Radio, the podcast teaching you to aspire, conquer, and transform your body and mind. Here's your host, Adam Castro.
All right, what's up, everybody? My name is Adam Castro, and I'm here with Jaylene.
Hey.
And you are listening to ACT Fitness Radio, the #1 fitness podcast in all of Whittier, California. We have an awesome guest for you today. His name is Dr. Justin Brink, founder of Premier Spine and Sport, and also founder of Premier Recovery Lab, both located in San Jose, California. The wisdom that this guy brings is so amazing at just understanding how the body moves and understanding how to help the body move more like a human. We're going to talk a lot about how maybe moving like a human doesn't line up with moving as you would in a certain sport, or maybe how you're moving right now in your daily life. Maybe the way that you're moving in your daily life is the reason why you have certain pains, why you feel discomfort in certain ranges of motion, and how we do need to understand what does moving like a human mean for you, and how can we get you there.
What do you mean?
So we're gonna really dive into topics like that. We want to make sure that you can find Justin. So as you're listening, you can go ahead and look him up on Instagram. His tag name is Premier_Spine_Sport, as well as Premier Recovery Lab on Instagram, both of those two pages. And his website is www.premiersportandspine.com. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Here is our talk with Dr. Justin Brink. Dr. Brink, thank you so much for being here. And can you go ahead and kind of explain to our listeners where you started with your fitness journey and why you're doing what you're doing right now?
Fitness journey for me I've always been into fitness. All the way back, high school, was being a three-sport athlete. I would play water polo, soccer, to baseball, and then for college, I went and played water polo for college. So I've always been, I guess, somewhat fit, if you will. I sort of went away from that once I quit playing water polo in college, and I thought that I could still eat the same amount of food and without doing anything, and had to go to buddy's wedding, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm used to wearing like a size 32, and then I went to a 34, and then I went to a 36. I'm like, oh, crap. All right, this is a 38, and I'm squeezing into this.
Things are not going in the right direction, right?
Yes, I was going in the wrong direction for sure. So,
and you're a tall, and you're a tall guy, and you're a pretty slim, tall guy. So that's even saying that was that must have been a very slow realization for you, because you probably don't gain weight that easily, huh?
Well, when you're not exercising, you're still eating 6,000 calories a day. It's going to pack on fairly quick.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was sort of beginnings, and then through college, just started getting back into fitness again, and then through trying to go to dental school, didn't want to go to dental school, taught high school, worked on golf courses, then went back to school, to chiropractic school, sort of as what I did 13 years ago. And at that point, I realized that being a chiropractor is more than just racking and cracking. There's a lot more that goes involved with that. And I had my first injury at age 31.
Wow.
That's when I tore my left ACL.
Oh, wow.
So I did that playing basketball, and just started questioning, why this happened and what happened, and what's going on, and then
and this wasn't
diving into more.
This wasn't during playing like in school or anything. This was after you had actually gone to chiropractic school, right?
Correct. Yeah. So this was my first year out of chiropractic school.
So this was just kind of a leisurely playing session, or was it playing with?
Every day after school, I would go to the gym and I'd work out, and then when we were done, me and some friends would always play just some basketball. There was always, basketball games being played at the 24-hour fitness, and I just caught a pass and I pivoted wrong, and boom, knee buckled in half. So at that point, that was sort of a year-long rehab process, at that point. So went to PTs, did it myself, wanted to sort of learn from PTs as to what they would do different than myself. And that's sort of where I just started to grow in the whole movement community, aspect of things. Because what they would give me and what I did on my own were two completely different sort of areas of rehab.
Yeah.
Sure. Is
that and what's one of the reasons why you decided to go a different route instead of just going to more chiropractic minds to see what you should be doing and what steps you should be taking? Instead of doing that, you went more of the physical therapy or a different route. What was going on in your mind at that point?
Well, the body doesn't know structure, right? But we love to tell it structure. That's the way our mind works. And I'm sitting in my rehab class with these guys, and every single time I come in, it's the same protocol. And to me, it's just sort of like, okay, I get that there's got to be a certain protocol post-op surgery, but now I'm a month out, and why am I still doing the same stuff? And there's no challenge, there's no pushing, there's no there was no growth. It was just everyone would come in, they do the same exact stuff. It's like, how are we all cookie cutter? Why are we all cookie cutter? We're all completely different. And then at the end of my 4-month to 6-month journey where I started running again, I was chasing an 18-year-old around at 32 years old, 33 years old. That's when I tore it. So it was sort of weird going, okay, here's an 18-year-old that just tore his. Here I am at almost, double his age, and I'm chasing this kid around. He's chasing me around, and we've got differing, obviously, structures, but I'm moving a lot faster than he is. And he was a high school basketball player, so I just started questioning a lot of things at that point as to, okay, what do we know, and what do we think we know, and what do we really not know? So I just questioned why all the time, and that's sort of what leads me to where I'm at now.
So what was the next step for you after you had learned that, after you had learned, okay, there's more to the body and movement than just chiropractic care? What did you end up doing?
So I was working at a clinic at that time, and the hard part about that was, again, it was very protocol-based. Everyone would walk into the office, and it was the same thing. We'd put them on a table, we'd put some heat and some muscle stim on them, let them cook for 10 to 15 minutes, bring them out, stretch them out for a second, adjust their back, maybe do a little ART, some grasp therapy, and off you go. And I'm like, I just kept seeing these people come back in over and over for the same exact issues. No different than our medical model, right? You go in for your opiates, and you keep cycling through different opiates, all the time. So for me, I started building different exercise protocols for people with low back issues, knee issues, foot issues. And so at least we had something different to go on. And as my knowledge grew, I realized that protocols were nothing, because it was going back to the same exact thing. It was a protocol for everyone that had low back pain, and everyone that had like a neck issue, or everyone that had a shoulder issue. And
so you're realizing there's a pattern there.
Yeah, that no one moves the same. So why am I keep giving everyone the same protocol? So it works for maybe 50%, but the other 50% it did nothing for. And that might even be a high number at 50%.
Well, and then the difference, too, between, okay, I'm sure that helped them a little bit, but then were they thriving after that? Were they able to perform well with their bodies? Were they learning? Were they growing? Things like that. I'm sure none of that was happening, and instead they were just kind of being in this cycle.
Well, yeah, and then I was part of the cycle as well, right? Because we never monitored that end of things. So it wasn't, hey, how's your performance in tennis today, or how was your run today, or we'd ask those subjectively, right? But we never took that into account as to, hey, what did I just give them, and how did they perform better, or how did they perform worse because of what we just gave them? Or did they even stick to our protocol, right?
Right.
So when I opened up my own clinic, then it was, okay, let me decipher this even more, right? And then that's when I just started playing, again, with my own body, and doing everything that I would give someone, and saying, okay, how is my performance being affected because of it? Is it positive or is it negative? And so I just sort of use my own body as my own little benchmark. And again, I've torn both ACLs now, and I've had back surgery as well. So I go out and I play, and I play hard, but I'm also trying to always be, okay, how hard can I push it? And when I feel something, how can I regress myself back to a baseline and make sure my baseline is always, a good foundation.
Yeah, and I think the important thing there is that when you are pushing the body to 100%, are you giving yourself the tools to be able to keep your body safe? Because you can be pushing your body 100%, but not really being in control of your body, and that's what could potentially cause a lot of harm and injury when you're pushing so hard that you lose connection with the body, you lose that safeguard that the central nervous system connection to the knees and the muscles that protect the knees, the muscles that protect the joints. When you lose that and you just push, you end up setting yourself up for failure, the body to just kind of fail.
Oh yeah.
So what got you to where you are now? Now when you said you opened up your clinic, this is Premier Sport, right?
Yeah, Premier Sport. Yep.
So,
so
go ahead and tell us about that. Yeah, the process of doing that.
Yeah, it was stressful. It was going from a full-time job, and at that point, I was married, and I had 2 kids, and so it was sort of
Wow.
A transition going from I've got a full-time job. My ex, she had a full-time job, and then I all of a sudden said I'm done, and that was obviously a very stressful time for us. And I went and I kept driving by this office every single day on my trip to the other office, and I just went by one day and saw it. And went in, negotiated 4 months of free rent, and it was a 3,500 square foot office. And, walked in and said, all right, I quit, and I'm going to start this place.
That's
and
amazing.
I had 4 months.
4 months to make
it
something.
work,
4 months to make something happen there.
Yeah.
I'm sure was a challenge, because I think as much as you were seeing that cycle of chiropractic care, of people just coming in, coming out, all for the same thing, doing the same thing, we're kind of creatures of habit in that sense that we like to do things like that. I mean, like you had said, we like to create structure, and we like to put ourselves in a bit of a box. And so when you come out with, there's a better path that's actually going to bring more healing to the body, better performance to the body, so that you not only build back range of motion, but you're able to do more. And because now you have this focus to actually take control of your body and to fix the actual issues, that you're going to be able to thrive way more than even before the injury. Like, this injury can be a blessing in disguise, in a sense, to open your eyes to more capabilities of the body. Unfortunately, I feel like that's something that a lot of the general public just doesn't want to hear and doesn't want to do. I feel like when they're tasked with something that's really challenging, or when you tell them, hey, there's going to be a journey ahead of you to get to a healthier place, a lot of people will just say, like, well, why can't it just be as easy as coming in for an adjustment every single week? Yeah,
and that's something that I have that conversation with all the time with people, and especially like on our first visit, I tell every single patient that walks through my door that I'm not here to fix you. I'll never fix you. It's going to be you that fixes you, because you have to put the work in, and it only becomes a priority when it becomes a priority. When they're faced with surgery, they're like, oh shit, I need to do something. So it's versus going, I'm just going to hang out here because my pain level is now gone. So it's at that point, it becomes a priority. It's like versus just dealing with the pain game. So.
Yeah, and someone who goes through an injury has to be face to face with those chronic imbalances and those chronic pains that they're feeling in their body, and they have to make the decision: am I going to make a change? Am I going to actually do something that's going to help the body and be long-term beneficial, or am I just going to do the easy thing and just try to do the bare minimum, which ultimately doesn't fix the issues? I had read something on one of your posts or on your page that your goal is to help someone move like a human being. Can you explain what that means? Can you explain what that means to our listeners?
Yeah. So I mean, if you look at a baby, right?
I already love where this is going.
The day they are born, right? Their journey is to do what? Right? Stand up and walk.
Yeah.
And
move.
It takes about an entire year for that baby to learn how to go through every single step of that process. But babies are not strong, but yet they are strong, right? They have a strong core because it got them upright, and we think that our core are these certain muscles, right? Well, again, remember, your brain has no clue what those certain muscles are. Mm-hmm. Your core is strong enough that you can actually stand up. Because if you weren't strong enough to do that, you'd be a pile of goo on the ground.
Right.
You know? So getting you to move better like a human, I mean, what does a human mean? You know, I mean, we set ourselves up for failure because of our jobs, because of our environment, because of our biology, right?
Yeah.
Over time, our biology dictates what we do, right? So our movement dictates our biology. But we like to do something different. We want to sit in a chair all day long, and then we want to go out there and run a marathon. Like, well, what's your body, you know, what's your biology telling you that you can do? You can go sit well in a chair, but you can't go do this, and this is why you have all these ailments, right?
Yeah.
So just trying to restore the body, get every joint to move back like what a baby's was, you know. I get that we're not going to move like a baby. I understand that, you know. But what I want is I want the toe joint to move like a toe is supposed to move, you know, and not have a bunion, or the ankle, or the knee, or the hip. And so if we can get these joints to restore their foundational movement patterns again, the muscles and everything else are going to start to follow. So now all of a sudden, your movement patterns become better, your biology becomes better, your life becomes better, and you shouldn't have pain and discomfort that you should have or that you would have when you have a sedentary life. So getting you to go back to move like a human, that's what I'm sort of, trying to get people to understand.
We tell a lot of our clients who have kids, we say, you know, your kids are going to be the best example of how you're supposed to move. Kids do squats really, really well, you know, so, and that's so foreign to a lot of people. A lot of people don't understand, like, well, how is my little kid supposed to be a good example as to how I'm supposed to move? But yeah, that's perfect. You nailed it. They're a great example of posture and doing squats well and moving well.
They're free and innocent of all of the imbalances and bad habits that we collect over years and years and years of really not moving like a human being. I think it's crazy the way our culture is just pushing towards not living like a human being. If we talk about what a human being is supposed to do, you know, you can raise a big question mark as to, is a human being supposed to wear shoes? Is a human being supposed to put carpet wherever they can on the ground and create these structures and replace regular grass with turf grass? And, you know, is a human being supposed to be driving in a car, you know, 2 hours to get to a job that they're going to be sitting down for another 8 hours? You know, are human beings supposed to be doing these things? And I think it's crazy because the biggest advantage as a human being that I can see is our ability to adapt, right? We have the insane ability to adapt to whatever environment that we're in, and we are exercising that to the max when we do things like this. But is it actually beneficial for our body? And I think we're finding that it's not at all.
Well, we like comfort, right? And comfort dictates sort of where we want to go. Again, I go back to just your biology, right? If you're going to sit there and put yourself into a box, right? Your biology is going to dictate sort of what your body does if you live inside of a box. Yeah. But if you're open up that box, your biology is going to change based on the surroundings and the demands that your body has to do that are now around you, right? So our biology, now is sort of dictated because we sit and we have these devices, right? And we're, on computers all day long. And like I said, we want to go up and we want to think that we can move. But as a kid, kids move without thought, right? We move with way too much thought now. We're trying to think of posture, and upright positioning and, all this other stuff. It's like, man, just go back to basics, and that's one thing I really try and strive with people is be great at the basics. We want to sit there and we want to ride the 10-speed before we even look at the bike with the training wheels, but yet because we think we can do it, we go and we just keep jumping and we wonder why we keep getting injured over and over and over again. And I mean, you guys know as trainers, it's like I hear it all the time when I give people corrective exercises and they come in to tell me every single move that they are doing except for what I told them.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the point of that? I'm here to help you. And you just told me everything that you did, except you didn't have time to do what I gave you.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, I get to keep seeing you then.
Well, and that speaks to the truth as well that we are always training our body to do something, right? We're always training the body to do something. Either we're training it to do what's good for it and to promote more mobility, promote better movement or to actually harm that mobility, to keep us from being mobile, to keep us from having good posture, good movement in our bodies. And that fluidity, that second nature of us not having to think about it is only going to come from us building better habits in our movement rather than just kind of brushing it off and saying that we don't have to think about it. We don't have to think about the fundamentals and work on those things so that it can end up being easier for us in the long run. It's I think as a culture that is so focused on entertainment and comfort and doing what's easy, doing what's efficient. And, and it's not a bad thing. Like, it's not, those things in and of themselves are not a bad thing. Comfort's not bad, and entertainment's not bad. Us with our technological advances is not a bad thing at all. But I think it's important to just learn how to come in and out of that, to come in and out. We've got kids nowadays who aren't even playing video games now. They're watching other people play video games while they're laying on the sofa, on YouTube, watching people, and they're losing all connectivity to thought and to movement and to action and to problem solving, and it's all just now entertainment and comfort. And I think that, again, those aren't bad things, but we need to learn how to come in and out of that. And so, so when you had opened up your clinic, what were some of the things and the benefits that you were seeing as a practitioner of chiropractic, and then now moving more towards full movement? What were you noticing in the changes of the clients that you were seeing?
I've never been a traditional chiro, so I guess I've never really had that sense of those people coming in just, I call my clients, I have got a few, like the crack addicts. Okay. The ones that have to come in and just get adjusted, right? Because that's going to make them feel so much better, So it's always been, for me, like movement-based, and how can I get them to perform better? Now that's ebbed and flowed over the years, based on just different, philosophies that I've adapted. And, I try and just be, try and go out and learn as much as I can.
Yeah.
Taking courses from PTs or trainers or, better chiros or, MDs, or I just try and, meld all these different information, in and just what works best for this person that's standing in front of me right now.
Yeah.
And that's why there's no protocol. When people ask me for a piece of paper that says, hey, can you give me these exercises? No, right? Because I don't know what I'm going to give you.
Right.
If I don't know what I'm going to give you, I don't have any preconceived piece of paper that says, oh, you have a low back pain, do these 6 stretches and exercises, and that's going to fix you.
And it takes a lot of integrity to do that. It takes a lot of integrity to do that, and to even make sure that you're not putting yourself in this new box that you have found. Like, you shouldn't be in a box. Period. You came from a group of people who may have found themselves to be in a box where they thought this was the answer here. And the reality is that every single thing that we can do to and with our body is going to have some benefits. But if we just focus on that one thing, then we're not going to be able to open our eyes to the full spectrum of benefits of things that will ultimately help our body. And it will be different for each an individual person. So that's amazing that you are still to this day making sure that you don't put yourself in that box, that you are learning, and that when someone comes in front of you, I'm sure you would not hold back a different source of wellness to help that person, because if it means that they're going to accept it, and if it means that it's going to help them to get better with their movement and performance and overall health, then that is what it needs to be, Yeah,
and I think the biggest part is, for me at least, is the education, right? So I try and educate every single person that walks through the door. So that's the hard part. That's sort of what takes a lot of energy for me, right? People come in, and we've got like 20-minute, appointment times, and it's fairly easy because they've already got their history down, right? I already know sort of what direction I'm going to be heading with it, so it makes it a lot easier.
Uh-huh.
That new patient that walks through my door, it's a blank slate. I don't know them from anyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what their issues are, and so I have to watch them sort of go through, or I take them through a full exam. It's just, okay, show me what your body can do and what can it not do, right? And just because you have a low back issue doesn't mean you have a low back issue. There's so many other areas that your body might be moving wrong in. So let's figure out, is that the cause, and this is the symptom, or do you truly have an issue that's there? And, people that come in with disc issues, to get educating them as to why they have the disc issue. Not that they do have a disc issue, and what can they do to do it? Because they just didn't wake up one day and the back fairy said, "You're in luck, you have disc problems in your back,"
Yeah.
So it's a matter of, okay, let's educate you as to what you have done over time that has now got you into this position. So that's the hardest part for me, is the education. I mean, it's easy, but it's deciphering what the body is actually telling us.
Yeah.
And then after that, here's your plan, and your plan is your homework, and your homework is going to be X, Y, or Z every single day, 30, 40, 50, 60 times a day, right? Because again, we're trying to lay new brickwork down, so you build your foundation, right? I don't want your foundation on stilts, right? I want a solid brick foundation.
Yeah.
So, and if they don't understand that, or they don't sort of jive with what I'm trying to tell them, I may never see them again. And again, I tell them, hey, I'm okay with that, because when you leave the office, you'll actually be smarter, when you came in.
Right.
So you can go to the next person and say, hey, I've got this or this or this, and this person said this, and whether they agree or not, that's up to them. But
it's a very interesting place to be as an educator and as someone who's trying to help someone get to a healthier place. When you have to tell them and you have to try to convince them, I know you're paying money so that you can fix this issue in this hour with me, or this session with me, or these groups of sessions during the week. But in all reality and in all honesty, it is the 23 hours outside of this facility that is going to make the absolute most difference in you getting better. And that's something that even with training that we've had to tell our own clients.
Yeah, we tell our clients that all the time. And it's unfortunately, it's not always something that is understood. People don't grasp that completely well, because, again, they are paying for that service and they expect the hour to make a huge difference for the rest of the hours of the day. It's supposed to make up for all of the other hours.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the term that you used was convincing, and that's something that I would disagree with, saying we should never have to convince someone. If you educate them enough, they already know.
Right.
Yeah.
It's their own ignorance, right, that is going to put the wall up, going, I either accept it or I don't. We shouldn't have to convince them that, hey, working out is going to be beneficial for you, right? I mean, they know that. They're already there for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
They come to see me, for pain, and because they're in pain, my job is to get them back to see you guys, right? So you guys can go and do what you do, but there shouldn't be any convincing on our end. It's like, hey, look you screwed yourself up because you didn't do shit for the past 23 hours. Now all of a sudden you expect me to fix you in 1 hour? Come on. Your body doesn't do that. It's like if they had a pair of glasses on, and you say, okay, take those glasses off, slap you in your head. Can you see better now? It's like, that doesn't work. It's like you can't stare harder and see better. It's like your biology dictated that over time. So it's like we are trying to get you to move better, but you still have to put that into a working order. So me convincing you to do that shouldn't be there, because I'm convincing you're wasting your time and your money. Because that's never going to happen.
Right,
so.
Right, and that's something too that people, once it's spoken to them and once they see it, I think once they do it and they see the results and they feel it and they know the difference, that's when they can. That's when they can have that aha moment. Like for us, when we started the journey of starting to take our shoes off while we work out and starting to just really bring down the weight and pay attention to the direction of our feet and the direction of our knees, and making sure, hey, am I squeezing one shoulder blade more than the other? Looking at the mirror, letting it tell us what's going on. Even during running. While I run, why is it that in the past I've rolled my ankle on this specific leg multiple times, and it's because this toe comes in. You're like, I can work on that. I can build good habits. Here it is while I'm driving. That's why, or that's one of the things that's causing this imbalance here. And again, we don't want to go to a place where we're thinking way too much about it. But when you do start to realize that everything affects your body, and everything you do with your body will affect how it ends up. You realize the importance then that no one movement is going to be a deal breaker for beneficial movement for your body. It's the habits that you build. It's the habits that are set in place. It's you making sure you do that homework and do it religiously, because that's what's actually building good habits for the body and helping you to move better and be better. We should not. They're in our facilities for a reason. They know the importance of it. They know that what we're saying is truth. They're paying us money. I mean, I hope they know that what we're saying is truth. Otherwise, they're just paying money for nothing. But but yeah, and I think it's just making those daily decisions to make it an intention. Make it an intention to accept them and to live it out in their movement, and as they walk, and as they sit, and as they do all their movements.
I think the hardest.
Well, as
what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, as they start to feel better, right? Again, what does that do? That taps into their feel-good center in the brain, right? So I liken it to, if you're a coffee drinker, right? At some point in your past, you were not a coffee drinker, but as you started to drink your coffee, now all of a sudden, if you stop, what's that feel-good center in your brain telling you have to go back to do? Get that coffee.
Yeah.
Right? You know, so your body's no different. Right now, it's going to hurt. It sucks. It's painful, right? And they don't want to do it. But staying the course, as their body starts to move better and their ailments start to get better,
exactly.
What have they now done? They tapped into that feel-good center. Like, oh, okay, I see this. This is my coffee. Right now, I have to keep doing it every single day. But you do it in just ways that make your body feel better, but it's not for like a 5-minute stint. It's a 1-minute stint 30 times a day. You're just moving. It's like a cat or a dog. You're just getting your bodies just to move a little bit different, stretching all day long, just moving different, all day long, and your body's going to pay dividends because of it. Yeah.
And I tell my clients too that especially when you look in the mirror and you see what our form should be and what it is, if it feels uncomfortable to get into that good form and to get into that good position, that's not a good thing at all. Like it's not good that it feels uncomfortable right now. And the answer is not to just say, oh well. The answer is not to just say, oh well, especially if it makes you uncomfortable to go a little bit. We find, okay, how can we build a little bit of range of motion here? How can we get to that 3, 4, 5 level of discomfort where it's challenging our range of motion, challenging us engaging the body, and then build upon that. We're going to do that. We're going to get comfortable with that. And then boom, we have better range of motion. Now let's find what's our new 3, 4, 5 discomfort so that we can build more range of motion. And then before you know it, we do have better posture. We do have more range of motion. We do have more mobility because we took those little steps towards opening up the body to bring that chest out, or putting more range of motion through the shoulders so that we can touch our back, or be able to do these functions. I had a client who wasn't able to take off her shirt because she just had no mobility in her shoulders. And after I think it was just about a month or two of just basic mobility, very similar to something like MAPS Prime, she was able to swing her arms forward and backwards and take, do whatever she needs to do. And it's just challenging the body and making it an intention to, actually put it in the position that it's meant to be in. And if that's uncomfortable, then you just got to be able to decide and take that journey of making it comfortable.
Well, then that's getting out of our comfort zone, which again, we don't like to do that. We are creatures of habit. And it's, like the example that you just, mentioned, it's like, how long had she gone with just saying, well, my shoulders just don't move, and now I'm going to adapt to put my shirt on or my bra on or whatever it is in a certain fashion until someone points it out and goes, man, your shoulders really suck. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
So.
Or even just doing other forms of wellness like massage, just to temporarily build more range of motion, or to go to the chiropractor and get an adjustment that might help a little bit, but not actually fixing the problems. And that's something that we definitely push and show the benefit of. Like, those things aren't bad in and of themselves, and I don't even think you would say like chiropractic care is not bad in and of itself, but it's not it. That's not it. And it's a way to help. It's just one of those many ways to help, but it's not it. It's not the it all.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, and then eventually we come back to a place where we're older and after not moving for so long, we can't move even more. We can't move again.
It gets progressive, yeah.
Yeah, I was training my grandma for a while, and she just had horrible mobility in her right shoulder.
Pain and
it was she had pain, and I noticed that she was kind of catering to that arm a little bit. Like she kept it in always. She didn't really reach out her arm or her hands or anything to reach for anything. And she had shared with me that she broke her collarbone, and she didn't seek any kind of therapy or anything after that. And when she would lift up her arm, there was a big ball of just fluid buildup under her armpit. So we spent time, massaging that down every day and just training that arm to reach for things. I told her the most important thing right now is you being able to move. That's it. That's all we need to do is make sure that you're moving, because we go from, like you had mentioned, we go from being kids and being able to move and then training our body to not move so well. And then by the time we're older, it's completely switched. We're older, our bones are weaker, we can't move as well as we used to, and we just stay there. We don't get outside of.
And then we go into a home where people do stuff for us.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, sometimes with clients, like you just mentioned, is the exercise they get. And like when you go for your walk, all they want you to do is swing your arms.
Yeah.
I don't care how you swing your arms, just go swing them.
Yeah.
Right? Because if they have to swing their arms, they're going to have a better posture anyways.
Yeah.
But if they have a shoulder problem, that becomes exercise. So swing your arms every single time you get off the couch, you walk to the kitchen or the bathroom or whatever. It's like, I don't care, just swing them.
Yeah.
And just get that joint to move, and that's their exercise, but I want something more. Show me you can do that first, because if you can't do that, I know you're not going to do anything else.
My grandma had also had like a leg injury or whatever, so I had her hold on to a chair and just swing her legs back and forth, and she couldn't swing one leg higher than the other, and so we went back to, okay, what happened? I guess she got into a car accident. A car went through the house, and a dresser fell onto her legs. So she again had liquid fluid buildup on one side of her leg because she never moved it after, it was in so much pain. So she of course catered to that. So I would tell her when we were doing those leg swings together, I would tell her, get that leg up, reach higher, try, you can do it. And then of course getting in there and massaging the bumps from the fluid buildup that had built over time. But moving.
In industry for us where we are used to people doing like barbell squats and doing deadlifts and lunges and movements like that, it's important to realize the importance sometimes of just sitting down and bringing your leg up and just swinging the legs and just knowing that you have that basic mobility with no weight at all, with no, or even doing dynamic warm-ups for dynamic stretches for the legs and doing things like that. Like, it's so important to know that you can move your own body without feeling the need of some weight on you. Like that's putting yourself in a box if that's all that you do.
The workouts in the gym can be just as robotic as what we create outside of the gym sometimes.
Exactly.
So.
For sure. I try and get parents to understand that little concept all the time, because it's people sort of you put kids in sports, right? Mm-hmm. And what's one of the biggest things that we do with kids in sport is we now have 12, 15, 20 kids, that are playing said sport. We put them in the center before they start to play, and what do? They do their stretches.
Yeah.
So are you telling me that every single one of those people right there that are stretching their hamstring actually needs that hamstring to be stretched? And it becomes such a standard protocol, yet people are still getting injured.
Yeah.
Where I took a 12-year or a 12U girls soccer team, and I started working on just control. And I said, okay, you guys aren't going to stretch out at all. Your job right now is to go to that playground, kick your shoes and socks off before your game, and you're going to play for 5 minutes. And again, what kid do you ever see that warms up to go play on a playground, right? You don't.
Yeah.
But yet a playground is the most highly diverse piece of equipment that's out there. More diverse than that soccer field, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, you girls are going to go sit there and chase each other around for 5 minutes straight, right? That's all you're going to go do. And so they went, they did that, for 5 minutes. They came back, they put the shoes and socks on. No real warm-up, besides just pass a little bit before the game. Went in, beat the team 7-1.
Wow.
best passing, best communication, just best all-around game that they had ever had.
Yeah.
Far better
and
performance.
The coaches even,
far better performance. Probably had far better connection with their hamstrings. Probably had far better connection with their whole body.
Yeah.
Not to mention they were not.
Why?
They were not so stressed.
Because they played, right?
Yeah.
The best learning environment is play. And so these kids did nothing but play for the first 5 minutes, and there was nothing structured about anything, and yet their body is going to warm up based on the demands they place on it. They wanted to swing from the monkey bars, they're going to swing from the monkey bars. They're climbing up the slide, down the slide, whatever. Right now they go onto the field, and their body is already primed for all those multi-directional movements. Right?
Exactly.
And their minds are already going, so the mind is already going, the body is now communicated. That game was just amazing for them.
Yeah.
But it's tough to get, coaches to buy into that and go, no, we have to stay to standards. I'm like, okay, what kid has torn their ACL, playing in a playground? I'm sure there has been, but I bet there's far more people that tear them on the soccer field than there is on the playground. So
yeah, and I think the important thing there too is that they're using their bodies the way that they were meant to be used, instead of just instead of just being in this box of doing a static stretch for the hamstrings, and then also when you get a team together to do stretches. I don't know about you, but that was like my least favorite part of being in a team was
for sure.
like
I never paid attention. I just went through the motions.
Yeah, you're just doing it. Left leg. Switch, it's no fun at all. But when you're going out and playing and actually tensing up the body and chasing somebody, and it's your teammate, you get this far better connection not only with your body but also with your team. And if you don't feel that way going into a game, then there's something that needs to change there. That is crazy.
I have to walk away when my kids are playing, their sports, because the coaches drive me crazy with their old school, stretching techniques and stuff, and I'm not there to say anything.
Yeah.
So I don't. I mean, one of my daughters, she got pulled out of a soccer game, and the funniest thing is I saw her out there lifting. She didn't want to play. She's out there, my knee. And so the coach called me over, and I go over there, and as I'm walking up, the coach says, okay, I've assessed the knee. It's not torn. There's nothing really wrong with it, but she's complaining of anything. If it still persists, I think you should take it to the ER. He has no clue what I do, and I'm like, okay, so I walk up and assess it, and as I'm looking, at her knee, I'm like, you really didn't want to play, huh? She looked at me, and I'm like, your knee is fine, right? And she looked at me, and I said, all right, put some ice on it, pretend like you don't want to play, it's okay. We all have those, but I know that you're fine to go play.
Has it
you're
been
fine, you just didn't want to play.
How has it been seeing your kids do a sport and hopefully not being too influenced by their coaches in the wrong direction, but you giving them the tools that they'll need to succeed? How has it been kind of seeing from a young age that coming to life as they grow up?
It's fun. It's challenging. I mean, they see a lot of the stuff that I do, and so at night, they're like, Daddy, show me this, or give me another move to work on, or let me try and, do this or this or that. And so that's the fun part now, is because now we'll pull up videos or whatever, and we'll work on that stuff together. One of my daughters, she's in gymnastics and cheerleading, and she plays soccer. So it's like, all right, three completely different, different things. And so it's like, all right, you have to have power for soccer, but you got to have it for gymnastics, and you got to have mobility for cheerleading and gymnastics. Right, so it's trying to find this good control balance sort of between all three, so she doesn't get injured. And and that's the fun part, because it's like they may get injured, and I'm okay with that. But it's like, let's try and prevent it as much as we can.
Sure,
right.
And get your body to move better. And at 13 years old, it's like, all right, you're moving better. But hey, your strength is going to come, and I'm okay with that. It's that journey that I want them to go on.
For athletes, young and even older, what are some of the things that they need to focus on when it comes to movement and preventing injury while they're playing their sports even?
Well, again, you can't dictate when someone's going to get injured, and so we don't know. And since we don't know when someone's going to get injured, I guess the best thing or best advice that I would give kids is you have to move as best you can, whatever that means, right? I don't know, because everyone that comes to my office, everyone is different. Everyone has a different goal. They have a different demand. So putting every single kid, even on a soccer team, right? I mean, you got 15 kids on a soccer team or whatever. Every single kid has a different demand based on their biology, right?
Yeah.
So if one kid has, hamstrings that are amazing and they can fold themselves into a pretzel and the other one can barely even get to their shins, their demands on the body are completely different. So giving them that cookie cutter, that's the hardest part for me. Right?
Yeah.
That's why I have to walk away from their warm-ups, because I know that it's not the same, and I can see them doing stuff out there that is potentially harmful.
I think,
so that's the hard part.
I think more in the sense of so the first time that I ever took instruction for boxing, just for fun, just to learn about it. I had been with the background of training and studied in that realm and saw symmetry was the big thing. We need to keep symmetry. We need to watch the mirror. We need to make sure the left is doing the same as the right, all these different things. But then when I started taking instruction for boxing, one of the biggest things that I was told was you need to never be on the center line. Otherwise, you're going to get punched in the face. You got to roll that shoulder forward just to protect your chin. You got to make sure you're swinging left and right. You got to make sure you're on your toes, your staggered stance, so you keep secure with your body so you don't fall down. All these things that we're screaming imbalances, all these things that we're screaming non-symmetry for the sake of being good at that specific sport. At what point does that become unhealthy for the body? And at what point even does trying to work on that symmetry so that they can come in and out of it become detrimental to their actual sport?
So again, I think that goes back to what's their goal, right? If they are part of that 1% of the population that they're actually able to be like that professional athlete, do you want them to move better? Well, yeah, you do, but a lot of times that one sacrifices health for performance, right? So you have to, again, what's their goal? Are they going to be part of the other 99% of the population? Then I'm going to get them to move as best they can, right? That they should be able to, move in and out of being symmetrical to asymmetrical. I got to travel, with a fencer to Korea and Costa Rica, and she made it to the Olympics. And,
awesome.
I mean, fencing is completely asymmetrical, right? So my job was not to make her symmetrical; it was to make her better in her asymmetry, right? Now, when she's done with fencing, then let's go back and let's rewire your body to become more human-like, right? But right now, my job is not to mess with that, because if I mess with that and all of a sudden she gets worse, that's my fault.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's so important to point out too. You said that after she trains for this specific sport, then you will help her to move like a human. It's really important to realize that when you get really, really good at a sport like baseball, you're becoming a better baseball player, not a better moving human. Or when you do something like fencing, or even like I do Spartan races. So like Spartan races, you become a really, really good Spartan racer. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're becoming a better moving human. Those are two separate things.
A worse human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are moving further away from human is what you are doing. You are not becoming human-like. You're becoming non-human-like is what you are training your body to do.
And you've worked with a couple of Spartan racers, right? I think I saw that you were. And I think it's crazy how much damage can be done to the body in multiple sports, but even when you run into those high volume kind of sports like Spartan races, where they're not only running crazy amount of mileage, and some of them even doing these crazy 24-hour runs, but they're also having to lift heavy. They're also having to keep their body strong at the same time, spending a lot of time doing those long runs, and then spending a lot of time in the gym to make sure they can flip a 400-pound tire all at the same time. Do you think that these sports like Spartan races and CrossFit and MMA that are trying to bring in multiple sources of fitness and skill sets into one sport are more beneficial than the asymmetrical ones, or do you feel like that's more opportunity for more problems?
I think both. Again, it just goes back to life, right? Is that 1% of the people that are going to do amazing at said sport right, are going to have imbalances because, again, they are good at what they're doing. They're moving away from being human, right? Yeah. The rest of us are going to try as hard as we can, right, and still maybe just come up short, right? So whether you're a fighter and you're trying to, build strength and endurance and speed, or you're a CrossFitter, or whatever, it's all fun to compare ourselves against, these top people in the world. But again, we have to ask ourselves what's our goal? Yeah. Right? Yeah. Do we really think that we can get to that top echelon, or we can get to the podium? Mm-hmm. If you can, hey, let's build a team and let's get you there, right? And you're going to sacrifice your health for performance, but hopefully you paying attention to your health, right? And you can sort of balance that out if you're good enough at doing that, And that's always the hard part, or the hard conversation to have with us mere mortals, right, is we want to strive to be at the top, and our ego gets in the way, and we just realize that our body really just sucks, and we just didn't do it, So,
it's funny too, because I think people who are in those top ranking percentages of each of these sports, they feel the damage to their body. They really do. I mean, it's from someone like Amelia Boone, who does the Spartan races. I feel like she falls every single time she runs. Like every single Insta story is some new scrape on her body. But to someone who's a fighter who is getting banged up every single fight that they do, or a football player who's constantly taking micro damage to the brain, or just having to get impact on their body every single game. Like there's damage that is done to the body in all these sports, and people have to recognize that's not health, that's not wellness, that's not the safest thing for your body to be doing on a regular basis. But obviously we do it we sacrifice that for the sake of performance. We sacrifice that for the sake of success in those areas of fitness. Mm-hmm. And it's fitness, but it's not fitness that fits into making you a human being. It's fitness at that specific thing. And I think that's the importance, that like fitness is not just one thing. And I would even say, like, what do you think that there is a one ideal way to be a human being? Like everyone needs to be barefoot, everyone needs to be, walking mostly, all these things, or does being a human being mean something different for each and every individual person?
I think it's individualized, right? I mean, someone else may be like, I never want to take my shoes off ever again. Okay, well then obviously you have a different goal in mind than whatever else. So there's going to be compensatory reactions based on that need that you want, So it's not my job to change their goal. Right? It's my job to try and enhance whatever they're doing. I'm going to try to educate them as best I can, right? To say, hey, these are the benefits and these are the consequences. You're going to sit there and figure it out on your own. So, I go back to myself going, hey, if I knew that I was going to tear my ACL on that one day that I played that basketball game, I don't think I would have showed up that day. That was my choice to show up and play, and I didn't know I was going to injure myself. Could I have done something before that? Maybe. I don't know. So it just becomes very individualized, and what is your goal? You want to do Spartan racing? Perfect. What are you going to do to make yourself bigger, faster, stronger? And if that's your goal is to have a higher performance, then you may be sacrificing a little bit more health because of your lack of recovery, or because your training regimen, because your food intake, because of so many different things that are going on. Something is going to have to give, right? You just don't have enough time in the day because you still got to work too. Yeah. So it's hard on that end to try and put someone into a box and say everyone is going to fit into the same box. It doesn't work that way.
How extensively do you dip into nutrition with your clients?
I've been diving this past year. I've been diving a lot more into it. Okay. That was something that just nutrition is there's so much crap for nutrition, and the only way that I did it, or I started to do it, is because I dove in myself. So like I do like a 2 to 3 week sort of a keto plan, then I do a 72-hour fast, and then I'll do like a carbo loading, or I'll do, light carbs, but I've been playing with myself just because I have my own little food allergy that I've been trying to figure out for the past like 2.5 to 3 years. And, I thought I nailed it, but then And I'm like, I didn't, and so then I'm like, all right, I dove in deep, and started, all right, I got to do this for sure, and I got to make sure that my body is on point, and so now I'm really starting to figure out, okay, I can't quite figure out what food it is yet, but I do know that my allergy is getting better and better and better.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
clearly something that I'm taking out, I just can't figure out exactly what it is yet. But so I tell, all my clients, hey, this has been my journey, right? This may or may not help you. I don't know.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And all I can do is give you the information that I know that I have and the resources that I pull from. And you go out there and, you dive in and learn as well.
Now, I'm very curious. I don't go off in too much of a tangent here, but as opposed to 72 hours of fast food going into 72 hours of a fast, so as opposed to what most people unfortunately are doing in our culture, when you are fasted for 72 hours, is there any difference that you see in your range of motion and movement that you can tell in that 72 hours? Like benefit or detriment?
I didn't notice any better range. I mean, I've got pretty good range as it is. So I didn't notice that it was any better or worse. I did notice that, all right, the first 24 hours I can go work out, and I'm pretty good. I can work out with a pretty high intensity. I'm hitting into that 48, past the 48 to that 72. It's like, okay, I can totally feel my body. It's like I need to make sure that I recover more. So in my office, I've got cryotherapy. I have an infrared sauna. I've got Normatec boots. I've got all these things in my office. So I'll focus on more recovery, trying those last 48 to 72 hours. And again, that's just even at work. I mean, if I'm working a long day, it's I can feel like towards the end of the day I'm getting lightheaded. I know my sugar is a little bit low. I can definitely feel a lot of systemic things, but for like range of motion, I mean, I feel better. I can definitely feel that, but as for increased range of motion, I haven't really paid attention to that, just because, like I said, I have pretty good range already.
Okay, I was just curious because we had an episode where we talked a little bit about intermittent fasting and fasting in general, how one of the benefits that we've seen is just it kind of takes the distraction of food away, and even the distraction of digestive issues away, because if you are experiencing digestive issues and you end up going into a fast, you could potentially be free from that, and you wouldn't have to focus on that. And sometimes that frees people up to be able to focus on other things and to relax a little bit more, to de-stress. And as you get into that relaxed, non-stress state, I just was curious if you've experienced either in yourself or in clients just more range of motion as a result of that. But yeah.
Well, I think to piggyback on what you're just saying is, like myself, I don't eat bad. I've never really carb counted ever until I started doing this keto bit, and I'm like, holy crap, I actually eat a lot of carbs I never thought I ate. And so if you think about that, right, these carbs could be pro-inflammation, right?
Yes.
So now if you're cutting that away, right, now all of a sudden your joints are moving better. So it's not even the cutting the distraction out. It's you're actually feeding your body better. So now there is not that inflammatory response because of the food.
Yeah.
Right? So now you don't have that going on in your system. So at the end of your fast, 24, 48, 72, your body is going to feel better already because you didn't have all the crap that you put into your system.
Right.
And it's almost like you're driving a Ferrari but putting diesel in it all the time. You got an amazing car, right? But you're putting a crappy gas inside of it. Then all of a sudden we take it away and we put the premium back in. You're like, oh, look, I can drive amazing. So that's how I try and educate my clients. I'm like going, hey, I don't know how you're going to feel, but if you're not putting the junk in your body, you're going to feel better because of that. Most of our population just keeps feeding crap in their body over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So,
and this will be a topic for a future episode of ours, just because it's been a topic in our circle that potentially ketogenic diets are not sustainable, and certain kind of diets are not sustainable. And I even know, like, even with the Mind Pump guys, with Lane being on there, he's talked about the sustainability about certain diets. I think that with people living as monks in monasteries and that being sustainable for them. Like, things are sustainable as long as you make them sustainable. The things that you choose to make sustainable are sustainable. And obviously that it's all going to determine on what you're doing in your job, what you're doing with your life, what sport you're doing. Obviously, all those things have to be taken into consideration, but you can't tell someone that something is not sustainable just for the sake of it not being sustainable. I think it's awesome when you find someone who goes through the process of experimenting with ketogenic diets or intermittent fasting or 72-hour fasting, and they feel the benefits, and they're just like, okay, I'm going to make this a part of I'm going to make this a habit because it makes me feel good. I can see the benefits from it. I'm going to put this in as a weekly regimen, and I'm going to make sure that this is a part of my life now. I'm going to make sure it becomes sustainable because I like the way it feels. I like the way that it's making me perform. And there's just something to be said about making sure that you are focused on the good things, because if you are focused on enough of the good things and you are trying to do better for your body and finding those foods that are specific to you, that make you feel good, that make you perform well, that are whole foods, all natural foods that are going to keep you away from those other processed crap foods or fast foods and things like that, you really don't have room for those things. If you have enough of the good things, you really don't have room for any of the bad things. So that's all crazy. But
I think it's creating that metabolic flexibility within your own body. It's like you going to the gym, right? Do you train your clients the same routine every single day? No, right?
Yeah.
You create flexibility in their routine. For what reason? To create resistance, to create a triggering pathway of the body to move differently, right? To feel different, to stimulate different muscle growth, or fat loss, or whatever that their goal is.
Right.
Our diets are no different. So can you sustain a ketogenic diet? Maybe, but at what point is it going to wreck your gut flora in a good way or a bad way?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or intermittent fasting. I mean, I did IF for almost an entire year. But my body adapted to it, and it was so easy to eat one meal every single day at 7 o'clock at night. So I pretty much did just like a 23-hour fast every single day for almost like 3 months straight. And I'm like going, okay, I can feel my body doing different things and feeling different. And so then I started to play with it. So creating that metabolic flexibility is no different than just creating flexibility in life, right? It's like, yes, we should be able to push and pull, but are we pushing and pulling to the extremes? And then are we living in the extreme, right? Because if we are, again, maybe you are that Buddhist monk. Well, again, they're not doing what we do in daily routine, right? So we have to be able to move in and out of our, of our bodies or move with it, our bodies and our nutrition and our mental states. And that's, I think we get pigeonholed and we get stuck, and all of a sudden we get stuck in a certain way, and it's like, that's the end all be all.
Right.
Then all of a sudden you end up getting sick because of what you just did.
Well, it goes back to putting yourself in a box, and it goes back to putting yourself in that box to think that just these things that you can do to your body are what saves you from being overweight or saves you from not having good mobility. When in reality, it's putting the pieces together where they need to be in these specific circumstances. I think of people who are like you mentioned, that when you were playing a lot of sports and you were burning a lot of calories, you were eating a certain way, and then after you backed off of those things, you were still eating that very same way. We didn't adjust. We didn't adjust for the different circumstances going on. And you see this a lot with people who are in sports who play professionally, like as professional players, especially I feel like in basketball, it happens a lot where you see a professional player who looks really skinny and lean and is moving around, playing games, playing professionally, and then once they retire, they just blow up. They blow up because they don't they don't adjust their lifestyle, and they don't adjust their nutrition for what they're actually going through.
Well, it's funny. I mean, you say that, it's like, I was living proof of that one, because back in college I would have it was like the 2 for 2. It was like you go to McDonald's, you had the 2 cheeseburgers, 2 fries, 2 Cokes. That was like a staple, like 3 or 4 times a day sometimes, And I mean, my nutrition in college was garbage, and I'm done playing, all of a sudden, all right, I'm still eating that stuff. It's like, well, no wonder I got to become fat, There you go.
And we see the long-term detriments too. I mean, you take someone like especially bodybuilders who may have been doing the fast food and eating whatever because they just are able to metabolize calories better than your average person, or they're taking anabolics, and so it doesn't really matter. They just need to take in the calories. Now we're starting to see, people are getting heart attacks. People are needing, these surgeries done to them. People are pushing their bodies past limits that their bodies are just not agreeing with, and they're not going to agree with it, and they're continuing to push, and it's just creating more and more problems. Before we sign off, I do want to make sure we talk a little bit about your recovery lab. You had mentioned that you had your cryotherapy over at Premier Recovery Lab. That facility is still a baby, right? It's less than a year still, right?
Less than a year. We opened it. When did we open it? Like back August, September this past year. Just in my office, I kept seeing, a lot of my athletes that they just never knew when to hit the brakes. And so it was another way for me just to try and get, business decisions. Say, all right, I've got docs that are in and out of my office all the time. I need something that wants to do a little bit more passively. This is a perfect way that's going to fit seamlessly into sort of how I do things. So now we have regular clients that use the cryotherapy chamber, or the infrared sauna, or the Normatec compression boots, or we have laser therapy, or we have like a 6-foot vibe plate. We've got like the hypervolt, vibration, like Theragun, those things. So again, just a lot of different toys that people can come in. They can chill on the Normatec boots. They can go into the sauna. They can do a cryo session, just to help their bodies recover better, so they can go out there and they can push harder, because inevitably that's what they're going to go do.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure you could spend a whole podcast talking about each individual thing and the benefits and everything to recovery for that. But I think cryotherapy has kind of made a rise of popularity in the recent couple years, what are some of the benefits of cryotherapy as opposed to just kind of sitting in an ice bath to try to heal the body?
Well, ice bath obviously a little bit different than a cryo chamber. Again, they're both beneficial. Some will say that the ice bath is better than a cryo chamber. Well, I can't have an ice bath in my office, thus I don't have it. Plus, I need something that's going to make a crap ton of ice every single day, so cryo chamber a lot easier, on that end. So benefits would be just sort of a full body sort of anti-inflammatory reaction. I know when I do it, that I sleep like a baby. So like my nights I do my cryo, I'm out, so I know that my sleep is huge. When it comes to that, I track my sleep every single night. They talk about, you burning calories, 400 to 700 calories, or let's say it's fat loss. I don't know about that stuff. It's anecdotal. I don't know how in the heck they measured that, so some ladies will come in because they're like, hey, it's all the rage. I hear down in Beverly Hills are doing this, cryo stuff. So let me see if I can burn some belly fat off. Go ahead, 84. There we go. Thank you.
Isn't that crazy? The moral of the story with a lot of that, because we've seen studies that show being out in the sun helps you burn more calories, and being in the cold helps you burn. I think it kind of just is make sure you're in elements that challenge your room temperature there. We love to stay in our room temperature environment. No, go get cold and go get hot.
Yeah.
Right? Can you sustain the hot? Can you sustain the cold without bouncing out really quick? And again, how can you control your environment? Well, your environment is you. Do you have the ability to control your shakes? And the shivers. Well, again, that's something that you can learn how to control. And then same thing. Can you control your water intake? Can you conserve the water in your body? If you're in a hot environment. It's fun.
Yeah, we do have a cryotherapy in our area. We've made the drive out to San Jose, especially when we went to train the trainers, and we were so blessed to have you there, and that was amazing, and so thankful for your input with everything that went on there, and the MAPS Prime kind of form of assessing clients and helping them with their mobility. Unfortunately, you guys are like 4 or 5 hours away from us, which sucks.
Yeah.
We need to pack up our bags and move over there. But
that's right.
Yeah.
But when you go into a cryo chamber, I actually haven't been in a cryo chamber yet. When you go in there, is there that same kind of hit as jumping into cold water, or does it come on a little slow?
No.
Does it come on a little slowly?
It is. Yeah, the cold water will definitely it takes your breath away, right? Mm-hmm. And in the cryo chamber, it'll build up. Like our chamber goes from -246 to -321.
Wow.
But again, it doesn't feel like it's that cold because it's a gas, right?
Yeah,
it's a liquid nitrogen gas that's forming around you. You know, it's cold. Don't get me wrong, but it's not that take your breath away. You can move in the chamber, right? You can breathe. You can focus on a lot of different aspects while you're in there. Some people don't like it; they bounce out. It's only 3 minutes long, so it's not like it's very long either. But those 3 minutes can seem like an eternity if you don't like it.
That's true. Do you have a timer in there? Are they watching each and every number drop down? Is there in there?
There is. Yeah, there's a screen that has all what the temperature you're at, what level you're at, how much time you have left, it's counting down. So yeah, there's stuff that shows them that.
We will definitely have to come and visit, and if there's we got to make our way down there either way. We got to say hi to everybody over there, and then if there's usually Spartan races right there in San Jose in the Monterey area. So when we're able to go to one of those, we'll have to stop by and make sure right after the race we jump in there and take advantage of that. Yeah. But Dr. Brink, thank you so much for being on this episode. Thank you so much for all the wisdom that you shared with us in this conversation that I think people need to be having more and more of, and to realize that maybe just sitting on their butts all day is probably not good for them, and that may actually be the answer to the question of why they feel so much pain.
That's the first step. That's the first step.
That's the first step, right? And and ultimately just moving better and trying to move like a human to what that means to you. And Dr. Brink, is there anything that you'd like to share with us as far as new events that you're about to do over in San Jose? And can we get your contact information and things like that?
Yeah, I host stuff up here all the time, whether it's at my office or at like the Mind Pump Center. And we have like a FRC that's coming up, and I'm rehosting again December 8th and 9th. I know it's a long distance away. I think we have another Eldoa, which I know we've sent you guys to over there with Bryce down at Seal Beach Fitness.
Yeah.
So it's hosting, I think, one or two more of those this year, like October-ish and maybe December-ish, I think. But yeah, we're always trying to do stuff up here. I do Instagram, that's just my Premier Spine and Sport. Webpage, the same thing. Try and do more social media stuff. It's just a matter of time. That's always the hardest part for me. Yeah,
getting everything out, and it's and you are amazing for the fact that all these things that you're mentioning are all opportunities that you are taking to share information with others and to help to equip others, and to even you being here. Thank you again so much for just spending the time to just want to educate and to teach and to give and give and give. So you have been an example, especially to us, and we're making it our aim to do the same. So yeah,
anytime. This is all fun. Love doing this. We just have to give more information, and no matter if you're a trainer, you're a PT, you're a chiro, you're MD, whatever, it doesn't make any difference. It's like the information is there. Mm-hmm. We just want to try and work together, check our egos, right? Be like, hey, what is going to be the best thing for that person that's standing in front of us at that time, and make sure that they're getting the best information possible. And that's all we can do.
Absolutely. We hope that you enjoyed that episode. Yes. My gosh, so much good information.
Absolutely.
I love talking to that guy, Dr. Justin Brink, and you know what? He's very practical as well. I think it's very practical to say that when you're thinking of things that you're trying to train for in life, depending on the circumstances that are in front of you, like your job, if you have kids or not,
what your goals
are, what sport you're playing, like all these things are taking into consideration when deciding what will make you move as a human better,
Absolutely.
So again, make sure that you visit him on his Instagram, premier_spine_sport and Premier Recovery Lab, and make sure to visit his website, www.premierspineandsport.com. And if you did enjoy this episode, be sure to leave us a 5-star rating and review.
Do it.
And subscribe to our podcast to be updated on more new episodes.
Do that too.
And be sure to visit our website for more free resources. That is www.actfitnessacademy.com.
Yeah.
We will see you in the next episode.